master your darkness. Yeah, what's going on, party people? In the place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve. You know what I mean? And guys, say what's up to the party people in the chat. We got the incomparable, the indelible, Nate 2D2 in the building. We got Revelator 007. We got my main man JP. We got the real American, Mr. Phil Fox in the building. Man, it's good to see everybody. And as always, if you have not yet already, please like, share, and subscribe and share this link. Tell a friend to tell a friend that it's him again. And if you like how it goes down at the BK Apologists, you can support via PayPal, or if you'd like to be a monthly supporter of BK, you could become a patron where you get an assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible study. And I am honored and privileged to have an amazing man of God, a professional apologist, Mr. Alex, Mr. Wow, McElroy. What's going
Yes,
on,
sir.
Alex?
Hey, how's everybody doing? It's good to be back. Hopefully, for the last, well, not for the last time, but you know,
Yeah. We've been covering this individual a little bit, me and Alex, and we might come to the end of the road with this individual. So we'll see how it goes. But Alex, tell the people a little bit about yourself before
yes,
we get into
sir.
it.
First of all, thanks to be back again. It's good. It's interesting now that we met in person finally.
Yeah, it's
you
great.
know, and then now it's a whole different level of relationship. So, yeah, I'm glad to be back again, based in Chicago. I am an apologist and a pastor, and a few other things, but that's mainly who I am, what I do, teaching and speaking on evidence for the faith.
Amen. And that's a kind of fancy smancy T-shirt you got there, buddy.
Yeah, let me stand up so y'all can see.
And and if you like that T-shirt, you can get it in my store. I'll put the link right in the chat. It's the balance of orthodoxy and orthopraxy. You know what I mean?
Yep,
We all need to have that balance in our lives
absolutely.
because we've seen people when they're off in one or the other, and it's not pretty. So, and speaking of people who are off, what a
That's a good
segue, right?
segue.
Thank you. So, we're speaking again about the quote unquote ex pastor Kevin Wesley. As many of us know, his backstory that he was a pastor of some sort, and after research decided that that was not the truth, and that he is looking elsewhere for enlightenment, and he's become some sort of, I guess, guru, right? Giving his sharing his enlightenment with others. You know, thank you, Marlon. Definitely appreciate it. Thank you. Um, so me and Alex, we've been tackling some of his videos, and what's your overall feeling about Mr. Wesley, Alex?
Um, it's interesting at this point. Having watched way too much of him, I kind of feel sorry for him, to be honest with you. And what I mean, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. At least that's not how I mean it. Is that he really believes these things he says. You know what I'm saying? And they're so nonsensical that it almost makes you wonder, like, does he have some other issues going on? Or is it simply that he wants to do what he wants to do, like a lot of people, and he has figured out a brilliant way in some ways to codify that line of thought. And I think it's the latter, but it still makes me feel sorry for him because I don't know if he'll ever know how far from reality he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's actually you being generous, because
It
for other
is.
people it might look like it's just a hustle.
Mm.
He found a hustle and it's been somewhat lucrative. I mean, he definitely has a larger platform than many of us,
Yeah.
right? So it has had some effect, and that's the reason why we do some commentary and critiquing, because we feel like he has so many people's ear, and that he might persuade people to leave the faith. You
Yeah.
know, as apologists, we defend the faith. You know, we, as the King James says, cast down imaginations.
All right.
You know, that's something that we do, and we're going to be casting down some imaginations tonight. I really appreciate this particular video of him, Alex, because he does something that very rarely do we see anybody in the so-called conscious community do, and that's kind of give us his worldview.
Hmm.
You know, many times these guys tuck in their worldview like Debo, you know, and they, when we show up, they won't tell us what they really believe. He's not only just telling, he's teaching what he believes. And we really appreciate that, because we can now look at it, we can analyze it, and defend against it. So
Absolutely.
thank you for giving us your worldview. For that, he's braver than most.
Yeah.
He's braver than
Well,
most. Yeah.
I don't know if it's bravery or he just didn't realize how stupid it was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but because it sound if you're not thinking or if you don't know what to think, it sounds real deep. Um, it sounds like he's got it all laid out. He didn't have no notes. He just flowed with it. He went back, did his editing, put the graphics in there. That's right, Shadi. We were talking about reductio ad absurdum yesterday with vocab and everybody who wrote this. Y'all go get the copy.
Nice.
But yeah, just taking the arguments to the ridiculous ending of their logical conclusion. But as I feel like this is a broken record, so I'm glad you said this the last time, because I found myself, especially in the first 5 minutes, saying, but even the stuff you're saying about your belief, you got all the answers wrong. Like you got the whole terminology wrong. You misdefined word, like even your own thing, you don't know what you're talking about. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If you ask a Jehovah's Witness, they know Jehovah's Witness stuff, and Muslims know Muslim stuff. He doesn't even know the stuff he's claiming to know. And that was interesting. But anyway, we'll get into it.
Definitely. And before we get into it, let me just put this out here. This is fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. We'll put it out there so there's no issues. So with that, sir, you can press play. I'll tell you when you can stop.
Okay.
Rise and shine, beautiful souls. Have you guys ever heard the idea that if you die, do not go into the light because you will only be cycled back to this plane of existence and have to live again in this reality? Whatever you do, don't go into the light because you will only reincarnate. Have you guys ever heard this? Well, that's because light is represented as life and darkness represents death. Okay, now, of course, it means represents good and evil as well, esoterically. And that's why we're going to get into this knowledge a little bit today, okay? Guys, for all of you who don't understand what esoteric means, it means uncommonly known. So esoteric knowledge means uncommon knowledge, or knowledge that was normally just exclusive to only people in secret societies or occults. Okay, and so they symbolize things in a way of where they communicated in a specific way and understood in a specific way. Do you understand? So I'm going to break a little bit of this down, and hopefully we can get to the end of what light and darkness actually means. Okay, light and
stop
darkness.
there. You can stop there.
Many of us.
Yep.
Right?
Sorry, my bad.
You guys never saw that? It's a circle, and it looks like.
Cool. So, yeah, that's good. So he tells us, right, Shadi? You see, Shadi's already on it. Shadi is already on it. But I appreciate him because he's saying it right off rip, what he's about to do. Right? He's about to break this down esoterically. Right? So,
Yep.
Right, and he gives us a definition. Right? This is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. That's the actual definition of the word. But here's the thing with that. right? We know that words have denotation and connotation.
Mm.
Denotation, it refers to pure definition of the term, which one can find in the dictionary. Connotation implies the emotional suggestions of the word which are not exact, right? So you have the mechanical, the nuts and bolts definition, and then there's the way people use the word, right? So what we're going to have to do is do a little disambiguation, right? It's the act of interpreting an author's intended use of a word that has multiple meanings or spellings. So, how is this word esoteric being used? Well, he tells us. He says, so esoteric knowledge means uncommon knowledge or knowledge that was normally just exclusive to only people in secret societies or occults. So, it's not just a definition. He's telling us how, by which lens we should see this definition. And I don't think he realized that that's what he did, right? Because what he wanted to do was kind of demystify the word esoteric. That's why he gave you the plain definition. But then he continues to says, well, it's used by these secret societies or cults. Okay, now. So now it's not just denotative, now it's connotative. Now we got to see the word through their lens, right? So this is from the Association for the Study of Esotericism, the official website of the Association for the Study of Esotericism. The word esoteric derives from the Greek estar equals and is a comparative form of eso meaning within. Its first known mention in Greek is in Lucian's inscription to Aristotle of having esoteric inner and exoteric outer teachings. The word later came to designate the secret doctrine said to have been taught by Paragadus to a select group of disciples, and in general, of any teachings designated for or appropriate to an inner circle of disciples or initiates. In this sense, the word was brought into English in 1655 by Stanley in his History of Philosophy. Now, in academia, right, this word, right, in an academic field refers to the study of alternative and marginalized religious movements or philosophies whose proponents in general distinguish their own beliefs, practices, and experiences from public institutionalized religious traditions. Among areas of investigation included in the field of esotericism are alchemy, astrology, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, magic, mysticism, Neoplatonism, new religious movements connected with these currents, 19th, 20th, and 21st century occult movements, Rosicrucianism, we've heard that a few times, secret society, and Christian theosophy. Right? So when he says this, he says, this is what the word is, but we're going to see it from this lens. This is the lens in which he'll be teaching from these various forms of secret slash sacred knowledge: Gnosticism, mysticism, Neoplatonism, Hermeticism. In fact, he quotes our good friend Trismegistus later on in the video. We'll get to that. But I just want to set that right there. Alex, what do you think?
Man, that's a lot, and I'm glad you did that because she's right. Red flags all the way. When I hear, especially somebody like him, start one is like, yo, you probably, um, regardless of that, no, without any shots fired. The question is always, how'd you get it then? Like, why are you so special? How did you get this special knowledge that all of us can't get access to? You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing with the 5%ers and 3%. And like, it's always what makes you part of the exclusive club. Now, if people get together and consider themselves an exclusive club, then it becomes one, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it doesn't mean you know anything. It just means y'all got a club. um, I know. You know too. People who are specialists in specific disciplines. Like I know, philosophers, historians, archaeologists, biochemists, astrophysicists. They're specialists in these fields, and they would individually debunk different parts of all the things that he says, especially when he starts talking about stars and moon and light and dark, that they would be able to help him frame those things in reality and not just in this esoteric idea. So those are the things that come to my mind when I start thinking about esoteric, because I lean on experts. Experts are experts for a reason. Even as you joking as you start off the show about me, like I don't consider myself anything, but I did go to school. I did get certain degrees. I have been peer reviewed, and like there's not just a title. And so if we're not going to respect the information of people who study to get that information, those disciplines, and we're just going to make up what we want to believe about the moon and stars and all the other stuff, okay, then I guess you come up with whatever belief you want to, but it's not grounded in reality.
Right. Alex, the people are saying that your mic is a little choppy. You might have to come in but come back out.
My bad. This happened yesterday too. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Hopefully
Keep
it's better
talking.
now. Yep. Hopefully this is better now.
No, it's still choppy every time you talk.
Oh man. All right. Well, let me share my screen real quick. Maybe that'll give a chance for it to work out.
All right. My man Chris is in the building. Bodega Lady Michelle Turner is in the building. You know what I mean? We got my man Knowledge and Relationships in the building. Carl Anthony is in the building. What's going on, y'all? It's always good to see you guys. You know what I mean? So yeah, so as he's doing that, actually I could do a little bit more here. So it's a house. You got it?
No, I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share after this next section because, that way I won't have to come back to it. So,
okay.
Let's do this one more time.
All right. You got chick increase. I like that. That's dope. All right.
Man, where did
So
the videos go?
okay. So as he's doing that,
Here we
let
go.
me share. Well, wait. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just had to switch to
All right. Well, so let me do a little more here. So yeah. So it's as you're going to see throughout the video, he does. It's definitely a syncretism of both Western and Eastern esotericism. So in the book here, Western Esoteric, A Guide to the Perplexed, it says here, the three most common models underlying current concepts of Western esotericism appears to be the following. One, an enchanted pre-enlightenment worldview with ancient roots, but flourishing in the early modern period. Two, a wide array of occult current and organizations that emerged after the Enlightenment as alternatives to traditional religion and rational science. And three, a universal inner spiritual dimension of religion as such. As other models for understanding esoteric spirituality abound in Eastern religion traditions that are increasingly penetrating into the Western social and cultural environments. Many of these Eastern models are being adopted to Euro American cultural and social environments, resulting in the emergence of a new forms of esotericism. Neither covenantally Eastern or Western. And religious models within Christianity are also impacting Eastern religions and opening the doors for emergent forms of esotericism, no longer bound by ethnocentric histories of persecution or intellectual dismissal.
So
So,
basically, it's a free for all.
right. And that's what he's doing. He's incorporating all these different forms of quote unquote secret science,
Yeah.
and he's making this gumbo of spirituality,
Right.
which is interesting coming from a man who believes that God does not exist.
Right.
Right.
Can you
So
unshare your screen real quick so I can put?
yeah, do your thing.
Keep talking though. I was just.
Right. So you know,
he's definitely trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, I think we're good now. So is it up there? You can see it.
I don't see it, but you do sound better though.
No, the video.
No, there is no video. I don't see it.
Uh,
Yo. So, but he sounds better, right, guys? He definitely sounds better.
yes, thanks.
So,
Are you done? Did you unshare your screen so I can share?
oh wait a minute. You know what? Let me just. All right, I've completely stopped sharing.
Okay.
So I don't know if that will help. So once you put up the video, if you could start from the 57-second mark,
Okay.
that'd be cool. Oh, there you go. Boom.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Two fish shaped exactly alike and they're chasing each other.
Actually, go a little bit back a little, just a few seconds.
It's light, and we this down, and hopefully we can get to the end of what light and darkness actually means. Okay, light and darkness, yin and yang, many of us call it. Right? If you guys never saw that, it's a circle, and it looks like two fish shaped exactly alike, and they're chasing each other. Right? Light chases darkness, and darkness chases light. And we break down light conceptually to mean good, life, okay? Where darkness means evil, death, evil or death, okay? So we've represented these concepts in entities like God, Satan, Horus, and Set, okay? Going way back to before we had a God or Satan, we had a Horus and a Set, okay? Horus and Set was Egypt's idea of the light and darkness, or the yin and yang. Horus, of course, represented the day. Horus is an anagram for hours. H-O-U-R-S spells hours. H-O-R-U-S spells Horus. Horus represents the sun. People would actually say, where is Horus right now? In other words, what's the hour? The absence of Horus was Horus's brother, Set. Okay, so you had Horus and then you had Set for when Horus was gone. The idea was Horus and Set was always at war. And whenever Horus was, when you experienced Horus, when Horus was shining bright in the sky, Set was defeated or he had been killed. But Set rises from the dead, and then he goes back to get Horus, and then he kills Horus. Horus raises again the next day to shine bright again. And this war rages on, okay? Good and evil rages on, okay? Now, this is a beautiful concept because it gives us some understanding.
You can stop there.
Break this down a little bit deeper, okay?
Okay. Let me get to my PowerPoint real quick.
Uh-huh. Yeah, your mic is hot now. It's too loud.
Okay.
Yeah, he said a lot there, right, guys? He said a whole lot.
He did, and so let me, if you can pull that up for me.
I don't see it yet. Oh, there it is. Boom.
So the first thing I want to say is this is part of the reason we need to do this, and why all of us need to be prepared with answers to give a defense to the hope that's in us, because there's people out here not just saying the things he's saying, but believing it, taking it hook, line, and sinker. The first comment here says, this is a word for my soul. God is both devil and God. That don't even make any sense. Like, what? God is both devil and God. All right. In the dark place is where you elevate in all things. Like, this is just word soup. It doesn't make any sense. More clarity received from this video. Really? Outstanding message. Thank you. Powerful. So I just wanted to show, some people may think, oh, who believes this? Well, people do. Now, before I said that I feel like a broken record because I'm always saying, man, he didn't get anything right. Well, he didn't even get the stuff right that he was trying to use to make his point. So let's look at this, the yin and the yang. So this concept of yin and yang is a Chinese philosophical idea used to explain how opposite forces are interconnected and interdependent upon each other. So in other words, Black could not exist without white, dark without light, cold without heat. The connection between yin and yang and Taoism, because that's where Taoism is where the symbol's found. The connection is undeniable. Tao deals with the flow of the universe, or the force behind natural order that keeps all things balanced and in order. Real quick, there is a assumption in here in this whole philosophy that everything is supposed to always be in perfect balance. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that assumption also has to be proven. So I just wanted to say that. So it is considered to be a source of existence and non-existence. Most adherents of Taoism believe anything from polytheism, belief in many gods, to ancestor worship. Taoists tend to worship mostly on holidays in their calendar when food is set out as a sacrifice to the gods or the spirits of departed ancestors. Sound familiar? Other forms of sacrifice include burning paper, money, so that it will rematerialize in the spirit world for a departed ancestor to use. I'm like, yo, you can just give me the money and I'll I'll make good use of it. So Taoism and the yin yang concept are directly contradictory to biblical Christianity. While it's true that evil would not exist without goodness, the converse is not true. Now, this is important for us to understand what reality is and how it is in contradistinction to the things Wesley is saying. Goodness, rooted in God, goodness can and does exist without evil. In fact, it must. Evil is not required to understand good or to have good. So let me pause real quick and explain kind of the moral argument. One of them, that he's making these distinctions between good and evil, and more distinctions than I think most people would ever try to make on their own. But this is a necessary truth that if there's such a thing as evil, that automatically assumes there's such a thing as good, because there has to be something that is the perfection from which the degradation happens. In other words, you can have milk, but you can also have spoiled milk, but it's still milk, and you started with perfect milk. It didn't start spoiled. So you start with good. Evil is essentially good gone bad. So evil is in itself not a thing. Like Augustine said, it is a privation. It is a degradation of the perfection. You can have light with no shadow, but you can never have a shadow with no light. So a doctor does not have to have asthma in order to know how to treat asthma. Rape does not have to exist in order to understand the joy and intention that God has for sex. Da Vinci's mural of the Last Supper is an example of terrific workmanship, yet today it is faded, chipped, and marred by decay. Must the decay exist in order to appreciate the beauty of the art? Not at all. The holiness of God is eternal, complete, and undivided. God's righteousness admits no admixture of sin. So the balance concept gets very problematic when you start incorporating evil into that darkness and saying that this is just how God balances us, or how we're supposed to. I guess there is no God in his worldview, but that we're just supposed to balance this evil with this good and balance. And there's too many problems. So there is no balance or integration or interdependence between the holiness of God and the evil that exists in the world. So let me stop there for a second.
I had the same exact slide, Alex.
For real?
Exact slides. Crazy. Go ahead.
Man, we think alike, man. So so you tell me what you were thinking when you got it, and I'll tell you. For me, number one, he just got it wrong. That the understanding of yin and yang, and I'm going to bring up some stuff about Horus that he got wrong too. I don't know if I have a slide for it, so I might just say it. Mm-hmm. No, I'm just going to say it now then. So I don't have a slide. So he mentioned something. I don't know if we got into that part yet, so maybe I'll hold it. But he mentioned something about Horus that he just got completely historical.
Your mic went crazy. Accurate. Your mic's going crazy again, Alex. Your mic.
Man, bro. I don't know what is up with this mic today.
Well, while you're doing that,
yeah, go ahead with your
what I was thinking of. Yeah, right. So this whole idea of goodness is contingent upon evil, and evil is contingent upon, right? Like you need darkness and you need light together without, but that's not what my Bible says. My Bible says in 1 John 1 verse 5, this is the message we have heard from him and proclaimed to you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Like at all. God did not need darkness at all, right? So just wanted to share that real quick.
So no, it's a good point. So I wanted to come back to this yin yang concept while I pull up the other stuff.
Sure.
So according to Taoism, we can be happy or in harmony when this yin yang is balanced. Okay.
Your mic going. Your mic again. Your microphone. All right. Try talking. Can't hear you now. Can you? Is the USB? Can you plug and unplug it?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Keep talking.
All right. So this idea of so within Taoism, this balance. So we have to first also ask: is just having balance in life is harmony?
Your mic.
Okay, go ahead and talk. I'll be back.
All right. So he also brought up this idea of Horus being an anagram for hours, right? Hours spells
We're gonna talk about that too.
Horus. It represents the sun people would actually say, where is Horus right now? In other words, what's the hour, right? Now, an anagram is a word, phrase, or name formed by rearranging the letters of another, such as cinema formed from Iceman. Now, here's where it gets interesting, right? Now, that works if we stay with the English script. But if we go to, let's say, the Oxford Encyclopedia of Ancient Egypt, right, we see that Horus, the name of the deity generally written with the falcon hieroglyph and translated fully as Hera, commonly, I guess, her, the generally accepted etymology is the distant one, which seems to be supported by pyramid text ortho- orthographies, as well as an implied pun in the coffin text. So this is the word for Horus. You tell me how you do an anagram with this. See, this anagram thing that he's doing only works if we deal with the English script.
That's what I was gonna say too.
You can't do that with this, with a bird. There's just no way. So, all right, Alex, let's see how you sound.
What? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I was actually gonna
Nope. Tag, bro. The minute. Ugh. Is it the
what?
headphones?
I don't know. Hold on. Go straight to the laptop. Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do it like this.
All right. I mean,
Okay.
there's a hiss behind it,
Okay.
but you're not cutting. You're not choppy. So
Okay. Oh
now,
man, I apologize, yo.
no problem. But where does he get this whole idea of hours? Right. Well, this is the
That's
section
what I was
of
gonna
the
say too.
papyrus belonging to Nesmine with the 7th hour of the Amduat. Okay, this is the actual papyrus. So from the Royal Collection Trust, it says here, section of the papyrus belonging to God's father and prophet of Amun Re, king of the gods, Nesmin, born of the lady of the house, sister and player of Amun Re, with the 7th hour of the Amduat. The Amduat, literally that which is in the netherworld, also known as the Book of the Hidden Chamber, is a funerary text that describes the journey of regeneration of Re, the Egyptian sun god, through the 12 hours of the night from sunset, symbolizing death, to sunrise, symbolizing rebirth. On the lower register of the papyri, right, quite, oh, I don't know how to say the word, Lacunus, in this papyrus, another important god is also included in the 7th hour, the hawk headed Horus. He is accompanied by a large group of standing deities, all bearing a star over their head. 12 male figures, star gods, and 12 female ones, goddesses of the hours. It's not that he is an hour, he's at the seventh hour.
Exactly, and that was what I found too, and that's why that was the thing that made me say, man, he even got his own stuff wrong, because it's exactly what you just said, and I have a slide, but I don't really need to show it, but it says essentially the same stuff that you found is that, where is it? The Greek counterpart, which was Harpocrates, which is god of silence,
Your mic
had
again,
this
bro.
had
Your mic again. Microphone. All right, what happens if you don't use your headphones?
I don't know.
Unplug your headphones. Let's see if we can still hear you. Talk.
No.
Yeah, keep talking.
All right, does this work?
Yes. Yeah, you're not choppy now.
Okay, I didn't know where the sound's going. Yeah. So the ancient Egyptians had gods that correlated with each hour of the day, and Horus, his hour was the seventh hour. So,
Dag, bro. No, it's not that either. I think people are saying it's the bandwidth. You're having bandwidth issues.
all right, let me see.
How about you come out and come back in the stream? Let's see if that does anything. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So as you see here, I mean, he just threw a lot of stuff at her, like the anagram, and a lot of guys like doing this, right? It's like the libraries where they bury the lies, right? Television, telling lies to your vision, and it sounds super deep, but there's nothing there. The Son of God is the Son of God, and things of that nature. Let's see now.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, keep talking. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. So him being the seventh hour, and then I think you
lower the volume of your mic just a little bit.
All right.
Just a smidge. All right, now go ahead.
All right. So I think you were bringing up this point. I had to step away for a second, but the idea that he also commits the etymological fallacy, where it's anachronism to draw our understanding of words or a word,
right,
and then replace it back in a time where it didn't have that meaning. And it's anachronistic to talk about. Well, let me explain. So anachronism, for those that may not know,
your mic again, bro. Hey.
All right, I'm gonna try one last thing for myself.
It's Alex versus technology, ladies and gentlemen. Who will win? Yeah, man. That's so. Yeah, I mean, you can't. They like doing these comparisons, but they only work in English. If you go to the actual,
Exactly.
it's same thing with Israel, right? Israel. All right. All right.
Okay. So I'm in the show. I'm gonna need you to add me again though, so I can be in the background.
Yeah, you're in.
Now add my. I'm gonna log in again from a different name, and
Okay.
I'm gonna have two.
You need one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we live backwards is evil. So there you go. Yeah, man. Shout out to Lord of Lux. Oh man. All right, yeah, bro. Let's see if we can hear you.
Okay.
All right, talk. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now put on the headphones.
Yeah, the headphones are on, but they're on my cell phone. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it like
Now
this.
you sound good. You sound good here.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be. It might be a little off, y'all, because the video's from one place, audio's from another place.
Now you sound
Okay.
good now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, the anachronism is against time. So going against what the time that you're in. So if somebody, you'll see watching a movie sometimes and you'll see like an airplane in a Civil War movie or something like that. That's anachronistic. Well, as you said, I think the word hours in English was not their word in ancient Egypt. So they would never have assumed that Horus meant hours, or would they have insinuated that? So that's just simply historically and grammatically false. Also, the comparison, we don't have time to go into all of it today, but the comparison between Jesus and Horus is so far from tangible that it's not even worth talking about. But he continually actually using or making etymological fallacies, even when he talks about light and dark. And sometimes biblically and non-biblically, those words mean simply a light, like a light bulb. And sometimes they do mean something akin to knowledge, but that has to be taken in context. And it can't be cross referenced across different paradigms, different worldviews that don't agree with each other from a foundational standpoint. So you can't ever, especially when we don't have any writings of Horus, or like you can't extrapolate that correlation between who one group believes is their God figure and another group is, because the amount of evidence that we have for Christianity, it doesn't even come close, or Horus and all that, the belief system that is gathered with them, there's no quantity of data that even comes close to what we have Christianity. So we are not philosophically warranted for believing that, at least not on equal plane with anything about Jesus. So those are some other things where he's trying to tie like 6 worldviews together in one. It doesn't work, and that actually in a weird way does feed into Taoism. When I first gave that definition at the beginning, that some Taoists are more polytheistic, some don't think there's any God, that worldview allows for the smorgasbord to exist. And so he's taken it hook, line, and sinker, and I hope that nobody goes with him.
Absolutely. So with that, we could get back to the video, sir. But this time you can fast forward to the 2-minute and 35-second mark.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he makes some yin and yang with Horus, with anagrams. I mean, he's pretty much all over the place, But as long as he says it with a kufi and a daishiki, he's deep. He's super deep,
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah. So if you could fast forward to the 2-minute mark.
2 minute?
Yeah. We can't hear anything. Yeah, echo chamber. All right, don't hear nothing. Still can't hear anything. You know what? Stop sharing, Alex. I'll just have to play it from my side.
Okay.
Okay. Here we are. All right. Let me see here. Yeah, this is good.
Horus raises again the next day to shine bright again. And this war rages on, okay? Good and evil rages on, okay? Now, this is a beautiful concept because it gives us some understanding. But I want to break this down a little bit deeper, okay? Many of us think that light and darkness is good and evil, literally. So we fear the darkness. So we've taken the concepts to mean literal, okay? So now darkness literally means death, okay? And light literally means life. This is why whenever you someone has a bad attitude, you'll say that they are dark, or if they have a negative type mindset, they have a dark mindset, or if they seem like death, look like death, they're dark. Okay, someone who is a kind-hearted person, we say they represents light, right? I can see the light all over you. This is what we say to each other using these concepts. Okay, but I want to tell you, there's need for both. We should learn how to wield darkness and light because neither is greater than the other. If you look at light, you can see that light travels at a certain speed. Well, look at darkness. They say darkness travels at a certain speed, but it also says darkness is not an entity as light is. It's actually that the absence of light is darkness. Okay. So what is darkness, family? When you look in the sky, you see space. You got the stars, and then you have the space, which is the darkness. Many people believe that the stars are just being held up there by the darkness, that the darkness itself is solid. Okay. So people have different frames of thought about what we see up there in that night sky. You understand? So I want you guys to look at it and understand that that space around the stars, whether you think it's solid or if it's space, actually, it still is representation of the good and the bad, or they're still both needed. You can see a purpose for the space because without the space, without the darkness, the sun don't shine so bright. But it's a little bit deeper than that. Okay. Darkness represents your thoughts because in your head there is no light. Okay, babies are made in darkness, seeds sprout in darkness. Okay, eggs are hatched in darkness, eggs are
Yeah. So, Alex, can't hear you, bro.
Sorry, yeah, there's so much to say. So he said something, even going back to the yin and yang, and incorporating the definition I had with the ancestor worship as potentially part of their paradigm, that if you have the ability to worship ancestors or to access the supernatural realm, why would you get there and then go to lesser beings? Right? Like the fact that anyone in any esoteric or Eastern religion or whatever posits a supernatural realm, but not God, actually tells a lot about them, because the reality is they're not looking for truth. And that's why they posit those solutions, because all those solutions don't require accountability. And that's the appeal. So, you would still need to know, if there is a supernatural realm, where does that supernatural realm come from? Like this is still not answering any questions. Whatever the cause of that realm would have to be spaceless, powerless, timeless, immaterial, personal, intelligent. Like, who does that sound like? That's how we reason. That's how one way we can reason to God. So right. It's not a shot in the dark. But if you have access to talk to anyone in the supernatural realm, why are you going to talk to Uncle Ray Ray? Like, like what good is he going to do? The reason, like I said, people would choose something like that, or might want to choose something like that within an ideology, is because there's no accountability in those systems. So then the second thing about the light and dark, as I said, those words they have to be taken into context. But if anybody believes that the darkness in the sky or in space is solid, like he said, then you need to go be fitted for a straitjacket.
Right.
I've never heard a person say that they believe that. And I don't think he believes it, but I'm just saying, he said some people believe that. No one believes that. That's not even possible. Space shuttles fly through anyway.
Well, before you get to your next point, the problem with what he's saying is it's fallacious, and the fallacy he's committing here is a category mistake.
Yes.
Also
one
known,
of many.
Right, also called a category error. In philosophical concept, used to describe a statement in which the speaker presents a concept from one category as if it belongs in another, or ascribes properties from one category to concepts from another. British philosopher Gilbert Ryle coined the term in his book, The Concept of Mind. The term caught on and is now widely used in philosophical discussion. Because, first of all, he says that believers, us, that we believe that light and darkness is literally good and evil. I don't know one believer that believes that.
And we're
We
not
don't
scared
think,
of the dark. Why he kept saying we're scared of the dark, or people are scared of the dark? Like who's scared? I mean, some people
but
are,
it's
but
worse than being scared. That he made a one-on-one correlation with darkness and evil, meaning that if we turn off the lights right now, that's evil.
Mm.
Nobody believes that. Everybody understands that light and darkness in that manner is being used in a spiritual way, spiritual
Yeah.
darkness. But then he goes from there. Now he wants to take us to space and talk about dark matter. Then he goes from
Which
dark
which
matter,
even scientists who study dark matter don't know what dark matter is. Like they're
right?
still working on that.
But whatever it is, it's not spiritual darkness, right?
It's not.
And then
And
from there,
I'm sorry.
yeah, 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 yeah.
He said he wasn't thinking about dark matter. So I thought about that. When he said dark, he was just talking about the dark night sky. That's even worse. Like dark matter, okay, we don't know what that is, but he wasn't talking about dark matter. He
I
was
was
talking about
hoping his argument. I was hoping his
I
argument.
know. Okay, go ahead.
And then he goes from there to, well, in your brain, right? Inside your head, it's dark. I'm like, okay, but that's a different type of darkness. It's not the same. Actually, he went through three different categories and trying to show us that they all one and the same. I'm like, that's super fallacious, bro.
Super. Like there's supposed to be a light bulb inside my head. Like that doesn't even make any sense.
And then, right? Um, you know what? Can I do it? You know what? Well, I got the quote already, so let me just show the quote. In the 5 minute mark, he says the two energies, they're not good and evil. It's simply as above, so below. Gee, I wonder where he got that quote from. According to historians and language experts, the origin of the phrase as above, so below comes from the emerald tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, our good friend H. Trizzy.
H
As a
Trizzy.
result, the term has close ties to the Hermetic culture. Sir Isaac Newton gets the credit for translating the Emerald Tablet, which I did not know until I looked
I
into
know.
this. So, for those who don't know, it says, according to Newton's translation, the tablet features the phrase as above, so below, in reference to what happens in the heavens also plays out on earth. Hermes Trismegistus wrote the quote Hermetic corpus, a collection of writings with a religious context. Some of the most prolific authors in history, such as Emerson and Bruno, think Hermes was a prophet who foretold the rise of the Christian faith. The problem with that is the Hermetic movement, whose greatest thinker was Giordano Bruno, took inspiration from a body of mystic writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a supposed Egyptian sage often identified with the god Thoth. In reality, the works thought to be those of Hermes dated from the 2nd and 3rd century CE. But belief in the vast age, Egyptian origins, and mystic power was widespread, not knowing that the sacred text actually post dated Jesus.
Hmm.
Adepts and were also impressed by the seemingly uncanny anticipations of Christian teachings they contained. Well, of course, it was uncanny because it came afterwards.
As it always does.
So,
Yeah.
one more. So, this is Isaac Casaubon. He's the guy who first refutes the Hermetic corpus back in like the 14th century. So he says Casaubon's careful analysis detected the clear style and usage of late antiquity in the Corpus Hermeticum. He demonstrated the text originated in this period, were likely written after the New Testament, and any proposed authorship in ancient Egypt was untenable. Corpus Hermeticum was a product of the first few centuries AD, without any connection to an Egyptian sage. In other words, Corpus Hermeticum was a fraud. So
Wow.
the Emerald Tablets was Greco-Roman fanboy fiction of ancient Egypt.
Wow.
And that's what he's quoting. So,
Wow.
Alex, go ahead.
Well, there it is. There's another category mistake in here. It's hard to keep track. Like, seriously, y'all. I hope you don't spend all day watching all these things. He's attaching value to things that are that he's misplacing that value on that thing in numerous different ways in situations. And there's something else embedded, because later on he'll talk about, I guess you would say something in the lane of purpose, but that's why I'm so clear when I talk about purpose. So it doesn't get, specifically, actually, so that it doesn't get into the mumbo jumbo that he does later in this video. Because the way that connects with what I was saying at first is that nothing gives value to itself. So I've used this a lot of times to show how Christianity, and only Christianity, affirms human value, and that when you the money in your pocket right now has no value until the government gives it value. The phone, whatever you have, has no value until it's given value by an external entity. Well, any worldview that does not have God in the paradigm doesn't have a way to access their inherent human value. I believe they have it. They do have it, but they're just not giving credit to whom credit is due. The reason we have value is because the purchaser and the creator of us is the same person, and he, God, gives us value. He's the only one transcendent to us and external to us that is in any position to be able to give us value. Otherwise, whatever value we think we have is just illusory. It's just we agree that we all have value type of thing, but that doesn't mean we actually have it. And that's the world we mostly live in, that people just agree to be nice to each other, which we should. I'm not saying we should do those things, but not understanding the ontological foundations of why you have value causes problems, whether it be on abortion or death row. So he's attaching value or like emotional, personal value to dark and light. There is nothing inherently good or bad about darkness or lightness. They are what they are. Now, if somebody's afraid of the dark, they're going to attach a value to that dark in a negative sense. But there's some people who like to go out in the rain, and there's some people who don't want to be in the rain. So the value can't be, if the value is objective in the way he's trying to make it, then it can't be given to the subjective understandings of all 7 billion people on the planet, which it is. Because we don't all agree on what light is, what is good about light or dark, and what all these other things. And even when we take that whole yin yang list, which I don't know if it's exhaustive or not, without a telos, without a purpose, and this is the proper way to think about it, if you don't know the direction of the goal or the aim of life, then you don't know if those things are even in the right columns. You see what I'm saying? Like you don't know, if you don't know what you're aiming at, then you don't know if, I don't know where the list is at, but like winter, dark, summer, whatever they had on there, you don't know what those things mean or what a value to attach to them if you don't know the purpose for why you're here in the first place. And I say the only way you can know that is through Christ. So if you remove the foundation and try to stack some crap on top of it, the crap's always going to look like crap. That's how I summarize the whole video. It's just piling on to the point that I was taking notes. And at one point in my notes, I just said, bro, stay focused. I know he can't hear me, but I was so confused in my note taking because I'm trying to track one train of thought, and he's on some other stuff talking about is the dark solid, and like wait, we were just talking about the word became flesh. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, I forgot he's going to tie Jesus into this some kind of way. So these types of things that people say that sound, I guess, can sound deep, can sound esoteric, if you will. When you take them to their logical conclusion, as I think Shadi said earlier with reductio ad absurdum, when you take them to their logical conclusion, they become absurd. These things make no sense. He's misdefined words, so we're already starting off on the wrong foot because the words we're trying to use to build our structure or our intellectual structure, if you will, you already jacked up the foundation. So we'll never get to the right reality.
Right.
So if you remove God from the situation, then everything falls apart. And the last thing I'll say right here, he said darkness is holding up the stars. Some people think darkness is holding up the stars. and he contradicted himself several times, but I don't have the timestamps right now. But darkness is not an ontological reality. In other words, darkness is not actual. Darkness is the absence of light. Cold is the absence of heat. So they are terms used to describe a state of being. They themselves, darkness, cold, are not things. I hope that makes sense to everybody. I don't know if it makes sense to Mr. Wesley, but I hope it makes sense to everybody listening.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And then towards the end of his video, he says this. He says, it's just a way of understanding things. So when you guys hear me or anyone else say, esoterically speaking or in esoterics, this is what this means. It means uncommonly known. So not many people know this because it's secret knowledge. It's ancient knowledge that only a few people know. Only a few people are exposed to. Only a few people are curious about. And so I'm curious about these type of things. So I love to see how thought they thought way back in the day, and see how their frame of thought, what kind of evolves into our frame of thought now. So the problem with this is that it's not all that ancient. First of all, we're talking the Enlightenment period,
Right.
right? And the Enlightenment period resurrected Greco-Roman fan fiction of supposed ancient times. So it's not that old, and it's not African. Even though he loves
Say
wearing
that.
the kufi and the dashikis, it's not ancient, not Egyptian, not African.
Isn't it sad how between the Nation of Islam, him, other people, the things they promote under the guise of being Afrocentric, or at least aligning or leaning into that, when you trace the roots, it comes back to white folks. Like it's comical, man, and that is not a problem in and of itself. It's just a problem that you think it's something else, Mr. Wesley.
Right. So, and the reason why we share this is that, he's trying to sell you something, right? And he wants you to buy it. But you really should know what the product is that he's selling.
Amen.
And that's what we're doing. Now, if you want to leave Christianity for what he's selling, at least know what you're buying. So this is what we're trying to help you understand. He's giving you this gumbo of East and West esoteric thoughts, sprinkled with a little Hermes Trismegistus for added flavor. This is the product.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna leave Christ for this, understand what this is. Well, try to understand, because he actually doesn't.
He doesn't.
He tries to articulate it, but it's really, how can I say it? It's sonically, aesthetically pleasing.
That's a good way to say it.
Right? Aesthetically, it sounds good, and the way he presents it, charming guy, and he tries to tap into different, emotions, and he gets you going, but if you really
even though he tells you not to follow your emotions.
True.
Like half the video is him telling you don't follow your emotions, right, as he leads you through your emotions.
Right, right. So just understand, right? And again, we have no ill will towards Mr. Wesley. Mr. Wesley has never done anything to me. Right? This is not a beef thing. But what he's teaching is dangerous, because it leads people astray from actual reality. Because again, that's what the gospel is. The gospel is not just us being saved, it's true.
Exactly.
It's factual. It actually is tethered within reality.
Imagine that.
As opposed to the secret knowledge that Mr. Wesley purports to contain. So
yeah. Wow.
So that's about it. Again, we just wanted to share. But again, I appreciate Kevin.
Can you go to one more part in the video?
Sure.
Like like around, it's around 8:40, 8:40.
All right. All right. Let's see here. Okay. 8:40. All right. Cool.
Represents your dark place. Your light is a physical manifestation of your dark place. This is why the word becomes flesh. The word represents dark place or thought or spirituality, where flesh represents the physicality. Do you understand? So in your physical realm is where you feel, inside of your body is where you feel the emotions, and we act out of them. But if we learn to be a wielder of our emotions, we can master them, knowing that emotions should not control us. We should only experience the emotions and learn through your emotions, for you are not your emotions. But whenever we act out of anger, we say, I did it because I was mad.
You can stop.
I was mad. If you're angry, you say, I'm.
So first of all, I wanted everybody to hear from him, his own mouth, him say, misquote the scripture where it became flesh, or misapply it, I should say. Because I want people to understand we're not making this up. These are the things he actually says and believes and teaches. And not only did he misquote the scripture, he didn't even really get it right as far as the analogy he's trying to make. But that's what happens when you don't understand who the word is, that the word is not us. Absolutely, Revelator, the word is Christ, like not us. Because that's actually a good point, because later he talks about that we can create things, kind of almost on that prosperity gospel level, misquoting Romans 4:17, that right. That he spoke those things spoke those things into existence, right? And so you see all the mishmash of, now we got some prosperity gospel in here, and we got some, Taoism, and some, what's the dude's name? I can't ever say his name. Trismegistus.
Yeah, there you go. Hermes. Yeah.
Yeah, Hermes. So I just wanted everybody to hear that for themselves and hear.
Oh, and by the way, Jesus doesn't exist according to him too.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was made flesh, though. But anyway,
yeah.
Continue.
Anyway, so now he said something right. So let me give him props where props are due. Emotions should not control us. Facts. We have them. God gave them to us for a reason. They serve a purpose, but they should not dictate. I always say emotions are good passengers, but they're terrible drivers. So in that, in that way, he's right. However, he makes so much about you, the person, the individual, being able to control your emotions, once again, as if that's the goal of life, that happiness all the time is the goal of life. That's what a lot of people believe, but that's not reality. Nor is it the goal as dictated by God. But even if it were, the amount of work it would take to put yourself in a permanent happy state all the time, to trick yourself into that state, is so much work in and of itself. It defeats the purpose.
But that's what we get. That's what we get caught up with, drugs and other things that we think will give us that happiness, that consistent happiness.
Yeah.
And then once you get it, the first thing you say is that it?
Yep.
Or I need a bigger car, or I need a bigger high. Then, right? And so it just leads you to just a horrible, horrible, quote unquote, dark place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, last thing I'll say, he said, you are eternal. You are not who you see in the mirror. Once again, I think I've said something like this, that, your soul is who you are, who God created, and, you are not, God looks at the inside, right? Mm-hmm. But in his worldview, I don't know how he sustains his own words. Like, how are you eternal if you don't even know who you are, and you don't even know what you will be? Because he said, maybe you'll reincarnate, maybe the death is the end, maybe. Okay, well, you got to pick one so we can kind of have the eternal conversation here. But he doesn't pick one. And how are you eternal if your soul is not an ontological reality? And if it is an ontological reality, we keep coming back to the issue. You have to have a cause for whatever comes to be. Did it just happen? Well, that doesn't work. Is it product of the universe? Did the universe do it? The universe cannot be causative. So if God is the source and creator of that set of your soul, then you're simply not giving credit to whom credit is due. And eventually, though, and this is the word I want to close on, especially for everybody who's listening to us now that may not know Christ. Eventually, Kevin Wesley and everyone that follows him, or everyone in general, will either see or know the God who made them.
Mm.
So if you're seeing him, you might be looking up, and we don't want that.
Mm.
That's all I'll say.
What I find interesting about Wesley is that he is very comfortable sitting within the supernatural realm as long as God's not there.
Just like atheism.
Like he really is very comfortable with that. Ancestors and energies, and like he has no problem with the existence of this other realm. I just don't want God there.
Same like atheism. That you know, when they posited panspermia,
Mm.
you know, the idea that some alien life form seeded Earth, and the only reason they posited it is because they couldn't explain the high degree of specific intelligibility in life forms.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, so you have no problem with another being as long as that other being is not God. Like if that's what it is, just say that.
Right. So you want all the trappings of what God has designed without the designer.
And there it is.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so again, I am grateful for Mr. Wesley for giving us his worldview, as convoluted and discombobulated as it is.
Yeah.
But he gave it to us. He showed us. He actually showed us. This is what I think we should do, whatever that thing is, you know. And but again, if you're leaving God for this, well, try to make sense of what this is.
Yeah.
You know. So with that, Alex, what can we expect from you in the immediate future?
Well, I got one more video to edit, but next month I'm gonna keep consistent and still release videos, but I'll be out of town, so I had to preload some stuff. But next week I got kind of like a montage dealing with progressive Christianity.
Nice. Oh, you mean the thing that they keep labeling us with?
Bro, I was editing it, and I guess me and you were doing a live on someone. Oh, we were doing a live on Brandon Robertson.
Right.
And so I'm watching it, and there's a clip where you say no one in the UA is progressive. And so I snipped it, and like I gotta save this so that everybody knows on record.
On record, we are not with that, man. So, amen. So when will those things drop? Those videos.
So the next Thursday, all of them, every Thursday from here on out. Yeah.
Every Thursday, what time?
7 p.m. Central.
Cool. And if you haven't subscribed to Relentless Pursuit of Purpose, please do that now. Mods, if you have the link, please put it in the chat.
Amen.
And
Thank you.
yes, sir. And what do I got going? Oh man, there's a few things I'm working on. We'll get to you as soon as Dean, I need to holler at Dean because me and her have a very interesting show that we need to be doing. And actually, me and Michelle got a show that we're working on as well. That's
Speaking of Dean, get the book.
Yes, absolutely. Put that in the chat as well if you can. Moderators definitely would appreciate it. Yeah, don't give me that look, Dean. You I got the thumbnail and everything ready. We got the slides and everything ready to go. I'm just waiting for you. All right. So, and yes, Alex, man, it was really a pleasure seeing you in person. And I just have so much respect for you and who you are and what you're doing, you know, in your own personal ministry and how you serve. You know, you don't just talk it, you walk it, you know, and I just really appreciate you, man. I really do.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you too.
So before we start crying,
man down.
Yeah, right. So with that being said, Alex and BK shut it off. Peace.